Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is the day that I go over the native Titan 12.5. I'm taking it out on the water. I'm gonna talk about the maneuverability, the handling. I'm gonna go over, is it stable? I'll go over the comfort features, and I'll also go over some noteworthy features out on the water while I've got it out there. And then finally, toward the end of the video, definitely stay tuned. I'll go over at $3,599, is this kayak a good value compared to what else is out there, what's coming up in the future? Should you buy this kayak? That and a lot more. Also, if you have not watched my video, I did a complete walkthrough of this kayak. I'll link it up here in the top corner. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. But without further ado, guys, let's get right into it. Okay, guys, so I'm out here, Bull Shoals Lake here in Arkansas again, and I'm taking out the Titan X 12.5. So the first thing I'm going to go over real quick is the handling. How does it handle? Speed, maneuverability, all of that goes into handling for what I talk about. Speed is surprisingly good. So you're talking about a 12.5-foot kayak, 500-pound capacity, 40 inches wide. How does it handle though? Well, it handles surprisingly well. Speed's not going to be what you would consider on a pro angler, but I'm just going to turn it real quick. How quickly, and I'm hoping the wind doesn't affect the audio here. How quickly this turns is amazing to me. So that's easily probably half the turning radius of a pro angler, specifically the 14. The 12 is going to be a little bit better, obviously, but this still beats that. Speed, I've got a little app on my phone there. I measured about 4.4, 4.5. Nothing crazy, but nothing bad either. But handling. So I'm going to grab you guys here and I'm going to show you the turning radius. Get it going pretty good here and turning it. So you can see here, it's about an 8-foot circle, and that's at a decent speed. Again, the rudder being on the left-hand side for a righty, that's really nice. For a lefty, you guys may need to consider that, because over here, I've got the cup holder and I've got the rod holder, which we'll get in the rod holder here in a little bit. But overall, the maneuverability is phenomenal. Instant reverse. I've got it turned into an area, throw it in reverse so I can kind of keep my position. I see some laydowns out here that I'd want to fish. Another thing too, what it's worth noting is the quiet pedal drive. Why do you fish from a kayak? Well, for one thing, I enjoy it just because I like being out on the water. You want that stealth factor, and you get that with this. It's not super noisy. You don't get this grinding sound. I'm here maintaining my position and getting to an area where I want to be at to start casting at something. The last thing you want to do is generate a lot of noise, a lot of wake, and scare the fish away. Okay, so the next thing is stability. How stable is this kayak? So don't get me wrong, this is a 12.5-foot kayak. I expect it to be stable, but as somebody who doesn't have the best sea legs in the world, and for those of you who may have some limitations, how do you stand up in it? How does it do on the stability? And let's just do it. Let's just try it right now. Wow. So as somebody who is a little tippy naturally, I'm standing up, I'm filming, I'm not worried about my stability. I can cast into some areas, or if I'm just wanting to stand up and stretch my legs out, because I don't really stand up a lot in kayaks. That's not because I can't necessarily, it's just because I rarely have an area where I need to. I've gotten pretty good at skipping under docks, skipping under structure where it is. Our lakes here are pretty structure poor, so I don't really have a lot of tree limbs overhanging the lake. It's pretty open. It's a sloped rock bank here. But nevertheless, when I've got something like that there, or this here, sometimes it's nice to have that higher vantage point, especially when it's sunny and you got your good pair of fishing sunglasses on. You can kind of sight, you can see if there's anything on beds over there or anything swimming around some of the brush. So this is probably, honestly, this is the most stable kayak I've ever stood in, and that's saying something. I've been in a lot of them. I own a Pro Angler 14. This is a lot more stable than my Pro Angler even. And New Canoe Unlimited, Frontier 12, a lot of those kayaks out there that are really, really good on the stability. This is probably the most stable kayak I've ever stood in, and I would even rank it just slightly above a Jackson Big Rig, which is really saying something, because this kayak is a lot more maneuverable than the Jackson Big Rig, a lot more maneuverable than the Hobie Pro Angler, at least in turning and getting in some tight areas. You've also got your prop style bicycle pedal drive, so you got that instant reverse, which Native was the first in the propel drive to offer the instant reverse in a pedal drive, which is kind of neat to see there as well. But guys, I can literally film this entire thing standing up, and you guys don't know me personally, but that's a pretty big deal for those that know me. I get a little wobbly. I get so focused on my cast, I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing in the kayak, and I tend to get a little tipsy there because of that. But I literally can cast, I can talk, I don't have to worry about am I going to spill over with my audio, my video equipment? Don't have to worry about that. So extreme stability while not sacrificing your maneuverability on this kayak, which is a really rare thing, because usually that's your balancing act. You're usually, if you're given to one, you're usually taken away from the other when you're talking about your balance and maneuverability. And I really don't feel you do it on this. Maybe if they made it, a lot flatter on the bottom, obviously it's going to generate a lot more drag. But I didn't really feel like that was an issue when I was pedaling through the water. So really, really happy to see that. Now that you've seen me ooh and ah over being able to stand up in a kayak, which is weird, let's talk about comfort. This is the Millennium seat. This is the seat that you see on a lot of bass boats out there. Even the New Canoe Unlimited, the Frontier, the Pursuit, all run the 360 swivel seat. I've already gone over the stability, but with your comfort, definitely there. So I'm going to swivel it. So as you can see here, I'm sitting in the side, got my feet out, and I'm not feeling like I'm tipping over the boat. I'm now facing the back with my feet in it. So this is obviously a stability test, you can rank it as, but it's also a comfort thing. If the boat is shifting around, as it's windy or you get some current, you're not having to reposition, you're not having to over pedal just to maintain your position. You can use your swivel seat to maneuver, get your casting lane where you want it to be and not have to mess around with your boat's position. That's a really big deal for both comfort and stability with me. But for comfort, really, the thing that I enjoy the most about this is, and I want to see if I can get this out to the side here. So there you go. So you can see here, I've got my hip, I've got my knee, and I got my ankle, and it's all at a stair step downward. That's a lot more comfortable and a lot better ergonomics when you're talking about pedaling. I'm not having to lean the seat back to pedal. I'm in a straight up and down position, like a paddling position, but I'm not uncomfortable. It's not putting a lot of stress on my tailbone, on my hips, on my knees, and being in this position, and allows me to, it gives me a better fishing position as opposed to leaning it back, pedaling it, and then getting to my spot, adjusting my seat, and then just maintaining my position. I love this. This kayak is seriously got me considering my decision on the kayak that I bought. I like this kayak this much. Native's not a sponsor. Bonafide's not a sponsor. Again, I own a Hobie personally. This kayak, the way it's set up, the way the motor mounts are integrated into it, the way that your storage is set up in this, you got your electronic options. I don't have to drill into this boat to install certain things. This is phenomenal, and we'll get into that toward the end of the video when I talk about value. What are you getting for your money? and I'll go over a lot of these features here, but guys, comfort, A+. For me personally, I'm a big guy, I'm a tall guy, I'm a heavy guy, but honestly, those of you that are a little bit on the lighter side or shorter side, this seat trims forward and backward just seamlessly, because the slide plates, the T-bolts, do not hit the screw heads that are holding the track down, so you don't have to worry about it catching on that. It slides forward and backward, so you can adjust it on the fly. If you're pedaling to your spot and you want to move the seat back when you get to where you want to get, open up the deck a little bit more, you can do that. So there's a lot of little bitty features that really really exaggerate the comfort, exaggerate the stability without, you're not having to make a lot of compromises on what you need to give up to get that stability or that comfort. You get a really maneuverable kayak for a 12.5 footer. It's not gonna handle like a 10 footer, but they do make a 10.5 foot version of this kayak. But guys, that's about it for comfort. Again, I like the way my legs and my hips kind of line up with the pedal drive. The pedal drive unit is a lot more low profile on this kayak as well. So I want to show you another item here that's worth noting. Just caught me a fish, which you see right here. This little rod holder here, it's kind of canted forward at an angle to which I can stand up. I can take this fish off, which again, not a big fish, but dink squad. Take a. So now I'm going to go over the value of this kayak. So is this a good buy? Is this worth your investment? And now I'm not going to tell anyone to do anything with their money. Obviously, that's ultimately up to you if it's in the budget, if this is really meant for you. And that's kind of what I'm here to kind of talk about. So first, let's talk about what do I like about the kayak? And there's definitely a long list, but just cutting that down to just the bare essentials. I love the stability. This is the most stable kayak I've ever stood in, sat in, pedaled, been out on the water with. This one definitely took the cake with stability. Comfort. Again, I'm stable, I'm comfortable, I like the high seat position. I'm one of those guys that I like to have my knees and my hips a little bit stair-stepped. That gives you a much better comfort for long periods of fishing, which when we're talking about a fishing kayak, that's really what we're talking about, is long periods of fishing, big open water, going to some different areas and being out on the water for a long period of time. Also, the ergonomics, which I kind of got to there, is you got your hips, you got your knees, and you got your ankles. That you're not, when your knee goes above your hip, you're putting a lot of that pressure down on your rear end, your tailbone, your lower back. And regardless of whether you have any kind of disability or any kind of health issues there, it's just more comfortable. So the fact that the low profile of the propel drive, that's going to give you a much more comfortable pedaling position where you're not having to recline that seat all the way back to almost feel like you're laying down doing that. So I definitely like that. The drive, again, 5-year warranty. It's marine grade aluminum. It's not plastic. It's probably the most durable pedal drive on the market. It does kind of add some weight to the kayak, obviously, because it is a heavy duty pedal drive, but a lot of people are going to like that with the big prop that comes on that. And obviously the ability to grease your internal parts if you choose to. You've got some options there. Also, the new rudder is something that I really like. I like the fact that you can have it in the up position. So those of you that are familiar with that older, rudder style, but you can drop it down. So that really helps with tracking as well, which is another really important piece to the handling argument there. But that tracking is going to be, it's almost like a drop down skeg and rudder all in one. Having that down in the down position, that is going to really keep that rear end from moving around on you. You're pedaling and you're not having to constantly rudder. So let's go over some things that I may not like about the kayak as much. First and foremost, it's a heavy kayak. So would I like to see it a lighter kayak? Of course. But That's not a huge deal to me personally because I have ways to haul it to and from the ramp. But if you're looking for a fishing kayak, that's going to be something that you're going to want to ask yourself is how are you going to be transporting that to and from your vehicle, down and up the boat ramp? What access do you have to water and how far do you have to go with the kayak? So definitely, if you're looking into this kayak, you're going to want to seriously consider the Sidekick wheel transport system, which Native does make for their kayaks. It's track mounted. It allows you to slide it up and down the gear track on the tank well on the rear end, so it's not blocking your battery box. And also, the rudder control's only on one side. I'd like to see them maybe do it on both sides, especially with a kayak this big. That allows the righties and the lefties to kind of give, some people are just more comfortable steering with their right hand than they are their left. But if you're right-handed, you're fishing with your right hand, you're steering with your left, it's not going to be a big deal. I'm thinking more or less of the left-handers out there. It's not a huge deal, but if you're used to steering on that right side, if you already have a pedal drive kayak and are used to that, that may create something to get used to there. And then finally, again, comparing this kayak to other kayaks on the market. So this is where your value comes into play. So you got the Pro Angler 12-footer. Now I'm talking about the 180 drive, not the 360. To me, the 360 is in a different atmosphere there. The Pro Angler 12-footer with the 180 is $45.99. So that's compared to this kayak at $36.99. I'm sorry, $35.99. You're getting, what are you getting? So you're getting a really comfortable seat that swivels. That's something that the Pro Angler does not offer. You're getting a battery compartment in the middle of the kayak and the front. That's extra accessories for Hobie. And then you're still getting the bow and the stern mount. At this time, Native is including the option to get for free a bow mount motor plate. So all you got to do is buy your quick release puck, the motor, and your battery, and then you're good to go. Native will sell a motorized kit. I believe that's going to retail for around $500. I don't know right as of now what's included in that kit, but they will have a complete comprehensive kit. So you're getting a value there. For less price, you're getting more avenues to go with your customization. You got the no drill options of the access plates. Also comparing it to, say, Jackson's newest fishing kayak, the Big Rig. $39.99 for the Big Rig. You don't have the ability to run the bow mount trolling motor on the Big Rig. You can run a stern mount, but again, you're going to be doing a lot more customization and modification on that kayak. So again, you're getting a better value. So who is this kayak meant for? Who's it made for? This is going to be your lake fishermen. This is going to be your tournament anglers. Somebody that may have a trailer or a different means to, again, transport it. And people who may want to eventually motorize it, albeit when they buy it or down the road. If you have that option down the road, that's a better value to me, even if you don't do it. Not everybody wants to motorize their kayak. Some people just want a good pedal drive option, and this is that. But if you ever change your mind, eventually you're not having to buy a separate kayak. This is a kayak that really kind of does it all with the customizing options, the rigging options, and without modifying the hull of your boat. So if you're one of those guys that does not want to drill into your kayak, this may be the one for you. I love the price point, to be honest with you. It's not cheap by any means, but compared to what else is out there and what you get for that price, I feel like it's one of the best values on the market for a high-end pedal drive kayak. There's obviously lower cost options, maybe a little bit lower, lower customizing options. You really got to ask yourself, what do you intend on doing with your kayak? And that will kind of steer you in the direction that you need to go on that. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I answered some of your questions. If there's something I left out, let me know down in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I focused on what I felt was important to a lot of people, but there may be something I missed or didn't mention. Let me know down in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible, or may even put a shorter video out on that. But anyways, thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for watching the video, and we'll see you on the next one.